What it do, house crew? Hey man, I decided to make this video. UFC 317 isn't a week, honestly. 6 days if you want to be exact. But I'm making my first. I'm gonna make my full card predictions for this video. It's a lot of really good fights. I think this card is honestly pretty good for International Fight Week. I mean, I don't think it's International Fight Week standard with how much hype it has, but compared to last year's, it's definitely a very big step up. I think it's way better than 303. And, I mean, there's a lot of good fights on here. I think a lot of people are just spoiled from the UFC 300. They just expect every card to be super stacked with tons of champions. And it's never going to be that case. But if you're a hardcore fan, if you've been watching UFC for some time, you would know this card is actually kind of good. It's actually pretty good. There's some good fights on here. And, honestly, I expect this to be a legendary card for sure. For International Fight Week, did I expect more stacked fights? Yeah, but I think so far it's a pretty good fight card, and I think this issue with pay-per-views not being as stacked, I think there should be more love for pay-per-views, and I think there should be less love for Apex events. That is my opinion. But let's get on with the full card predictions. Let's go all the way to the bottom. First fight of the card. In the early prelims, we got Niko Price versus Jacoby Smith. This is a good welterweight fight. Jacoby Smith is undefeated. He's had a couple good knockouts, and I mean, I'm just gonna go with the obvious pick here. I think Jacoby Smith is just a lock. The odds aren't there, but I think Jacoby Smith is a big favorite in this fight, and it goes without reason. It goes with reason, obviously. Niko Price, I think the last time he fought was when was the last time he fought? I think it was like 303. Yeah, it hasn't been a while since he's fought. His chin isn't really the best, and against a guy like Jacoby Smith who hits hard, who has really good counter striking, I don't see this being a good fight for Niko Price. I'd say, I mean, there's a huge reach advantage for Niko Price, 76 4-inch reach advantage. I think that's definitely gonna put in a lot of effect in the striking because Niko Price does have some good power in there as well. And I don't know, he looked okay. He looked mid in the last fight. I think it was against Morono. Yeah, he looked mid in that fight. I'm gonna be real. I think the obvious pick is just Jacoby Smith. I'm gonna go with Smith by knockout. I think Niko Price's chin isn't really the best, and I think Jacoby Smith, he's undefeated for a reason, man. Like, this man is, yeah, I mean, he's been doing good. Or I don't know, when was the last? I mean, apart from that, no. Niko Price did fight recently. Yeah, he fought recently. I think he lost. So, yeah, I think it was. Shoot, what was it? Oh, it was in like the War Valley event. Who cares though? But I'm gonna go Smith by KO. I think Niko Price's chin is not the greatest. He got chinned from Robbie Lawler. He gets chinned by a lot of people, but he has some good power on his own. But he has a very strange build. If you look at that, like, it's a strange build, and I don't know how you can get to that. He kind of looks like he looks like Wario, or no, Waluigi. He looks like that. I don't know if that's racist, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Jacoby Smith by KO. I'm going to predict the first round. I think this is going to be another first round KO for Jacoby Smith. It's going up the welterweight division. I'd love to see him fight more seasoned competition, a lot better opponents. So, yeah, I think Jacoby Smith, KO, round 1. Next, we got Jonata Denise versus Alvin Hines. Now, this is an interesting fight. If Jonata Denise was supposed to fight I think Justin Tafa, right? And Justin Tafa pulls out, and now Alvin Hines is stepping in. So Alvin Hines seems pretty good. I mean, I think he's undefeated right now. He's a regional fighter, but he has a good record. I would say, like, I mean, Jonata Denise is good too. His only loss is to Marcin Tybura, where he got I think he got slept. Yeah, he got slept, and I don't know, not slept. No, this is a different fighter. But no, you got pretty much battered by Marcin Topuria in the second round, and going against Hines, undefeated guy. I don't really know a lot about Hines. I'm gonna be real. I didn't really watch any of his fights, and I still think Denise is pretty good. Um, I mean, Denise is a good striker, and he has some good power, but he did get kind of fraud checked by Marcin Tybura, and it kind of puts into notice. It's like, okay, is this Halvin Hines good, that good? But I'm gonna go with Jonata Denise. I think he has the power to do it. I think UFC level is just a lot different compared to like I don't know what region. I think it was the LFA. Yeah, I think last fight was in LFA. But I think and for a short notice guy, I think Jonata Diaz will probably be better conditioned. I think better prepared for this fight. He was supposed to go against Justin Tafa, and I mean Justin Tafa is Justin Tafa. I mean, I thought that was a pretty easy fight for Denise, and I think this is kind of an easy fight for him too. I wouldn't be surprised if Hines wins this, just because he's undefeated, and he seems to be good. But I just think I think Denise is better. I think he's more prepared going into this fight, but it's heavyweight. You really don't know. So, but I'm gonna go with Jonathan Denise. Gonna go. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Denise by decision. I expect this to go 3 rounds. It's like a simple heavyweight thing. I think maybe Denise will have a really good first round, and then second and third round, that's when we both kind of falter, and then it's kind of a mid thing, kind of a mid fight, and Denise probably will get away with a decision just because of UFC bias, I guess. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with Jonathan Denise by decision. Unless he gets a knockout, that'd be pretty cool though. But watch out for Denise knockout. But I'm gonna go by decision. Next, we got the last fight on the early prelims. We got Cedric Dumas versus Jackson McVeigh. This fight was pretty much put on short notice. I mean, I didn't even know Dumas was even free. I thought that man was in jail. And we got McVeigh. I think he's an undefeated guy. He has a lot of good knockouts, and I mean, I'm just really confused. Like, what the hell? Like, Dumas is just out of jail just like that. Like, really? So, I think McVeigh is a pretty good fighter. He's pretty tall for middleweight, 6'4", which is pretty tall, and he has some good finishes, and I think this is gonna, for both of them being on short notice. I think Dumas he's good, but I think McVeigh just has the power to maybe chin Dumas. The old Jacek fight, like old Jacek is a former welterweight, and he was putting the beats on Dumas, and people were arguing early stoppage, but nah, Dumas was getting beat up. Like, he was not defending. So, I mean, I'm going to go with McVeigh. I'm going to go with McVeigh by knockout. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this fight. I don't know how the hell Dumas is not in jail, but whatever. Next, we got Terrence McKinney versus Vyacheslav Borshev. And yeah, I love to see Terrence McKinney on a fight. Like, one thing about it, it always ends in the first round. Like, I think he has the second shortest fight time. And it's like either he finishes someone in the first round, or he gets finished by someone in the first round. And Borshev, he's pretty good, but I think what was his last fight? I think he lost to shit. Oh man, I'm like fucking casual now. Yeah, he lost to Tom Nolan, and he had a split decision against James Longtop, who. I don't know. Like, I think Terrence McKinney got this. McKinney, he's been finished a lot before. And, I just think that Borshev doesn't really have that present. I think Terrence McKinney will probably get this. I'd love to say knockout in the first round, considering it's Terrence McKinney, but who knows, honestly. Yeah, Terrence McKinney had a very good knockout against Hadzovic, and before that, he got knocked out by Ribovics, but Ribovics is pretty good. He's insanely good. I'd say that. And I don't know. I think I'm gonna choose McKinney for this fight. I think Borshev. low key is kind of a loss away from getting cut. You got pretty bad. You got pretty dominated by Tom Nolan, and it's Tom Nolan after all. So I'm gonna go with McKinney. I'm gonna go with McKinney by knockout. I'm gonna go with that. Wow, first round. Who knows? Next, we got the women's fight of the card: Vivian Araujo versus Tracy Cortez. Honestly, I could give less of a fuck about this fight. I didn't even know Tracy Cortez was still in the UFC. And I mean, Tracy Cortez is honestly strangely pretty good. I'm not saying this just because I want to hit. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Tracy Cortez is honestly pretty good, and you gotta realize her last loss to Rose Namajunas. Apart from that loss to Namajunas, she was undefeated in the UFC. She has a win, a unanimous decision win against Jasuda Vicious, who's now climbing up the rankings. I think Tracy Cortez is pretty good. And apart from losing to Rose Namajunas, who honestly, I think a lot of the flyweights lose to Rose. She had a very competitive fight against Manon, who just fought for the title. Erin Blanchfield is kind of different. I honestly, Blanchfield was kind of making that fight a snooze fest with all the grappling and stuff. We know Rose's wrestling defense isn't technically the best, but I think Rose beats. I think Rose beats a Grasso. I wouldn't say she beats a Silva. She didn't beat, and apart from her losses to Fiorot and Blanchfield, who are in the top 5 of the division. I mean, Tracy Cortez losing to Rose is not a bad loss. It's definitely not a bad loss. And with Araujo, it's like she's kind of 50-50 on a lot of her fights. She had a pretty good performance against some prospect. I don't really remember, but I mean, I think Tracy Cortez might just beat Araujo. I'm gonna go with Tracy Cortez by decision, just like any other woman's fight. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm a real. Araujo is pretty 50-50, and she has some good wins, but she also has some good losses. She has some bad losses as well, and I think Tracy Cortez got this. I think Tracy Cortez is gonna piece up Araujo, and I keep saying "and" like a fucking idiot. And dumbass, bro. But yeah, I think Tracy Cortez is pretty good. She's really good. She has a win against Jasuda Vicious, which is insane. Which is aging really well considering her star performances against Breno Silva and Andrade. I mean, Tracy Cortez isn't that bad. She got humiliated against Rose Namajunas, but Rose Namajunas just had a good win against Miranda Maverick. Dominated her for almost 3 rounds. Apart from like that moment in round 2, she was the one kind of going ahead, and Rose Namajunas is still pretty good. She's still really well-rounded. I think she gives most of the flyweights a tough time, and she had a very competitive fight with Manon Fiorot. I'm just gonna say that Fiorot match is aging really well, but just because she just fought for the title and made it insanely close with Shevchenko. So I don't think her losing to Rose is a bad thing. She fought some decent opponents. That Jasuda Vicious win, like I said before, aging really well. So I'm gonna go with Cortez. I'm gonna go Cortez by decision. I think Araujo's grappling is probably at a bigger advantage, but I think Cortez does have the defensive grappling to stand this fight on the feet. So I'm gonna go with Cortez. I think she has the volume. She can definitely strike. She could definitely outstrike Araujo. I think this can be a decision win for Cortez. And she hasn't fought in a year, but I think it's definitely good for her to take a year, especially after a loss like that to Rose. So yeah, I think we can see Cortez maybe get up those rankings. I think she can definitely still do good. Her only loss is to Rose Namajunas, so why not? And I know it's flyweight Rose, but flyweight Rose is still pretty good, especially after her performance against Maverick, who was also a pretty good prospect. So I'm going to go Cortez by decision. Next, we got Hyder Emil versus Jose Miguel Delgado. And I'm going to go with Jose Miguel Delgado. I mean, I think both of these guys are pretty good, and It's just clear that why not, Bro, I'm like fucking bro. I'm tweaking, dog. I'm tweaking. Nah, but he has a good knockout against Connor Matthews, and he was just on the Contender Series literally last year. Had a really good knockout against Ernie Juarez. I think he's pretty dangerous. I think he's a pretty good striker, pretty dangerous striker. But Hyder Emil, he's undefeated for a reason. I mean, he's a pretty good fighter too, and you know, he had a split decision with Gomi. And apart from that, KO go over against Zhang Yang Li, which is a good win, I guess. And yeah, I just think Delgado has the striking to win this fight. I think he's a really good he's a good striker, good power. I'm gonna go with him just because I think he might be able to chin Emil, especially with the fight against Gomi. I think I'm gonna go with Delgado, and he's pretty tall for featherweight. Honestly, 5'11". I know 5'11" isn't the tallest featherweight, but like Delgado's pretty tall. Let's be firm. 5'11" is tall for flyweight. I mean, not flyweight, featherweight. Because Max Holloway was 5'11", and he was like towering over so many featherweights, especially Ilya, especially Volk. Like he was towering over those guys. So I'm gonna go with that. I think he's a good dangerous striker. He has a lot of tools in his arsenal, and I think he's gonna be able to keep this fight scrappy. I'm gonna go with Delgado by KO. Next we got Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. I like this fight because we get to see Obama, but I think Rodriguez kind of did get fraud checked with the Cannonier fight. Rodriguez did have some hype. He did have some hype. And I picked him to beat Cannonier just because Cannonier was so old and he was already on a losing streak. It's like, I just kind of thought that he was getting an easy layup guy. But, I mean, he had a really good first round against Cannonier, dropped him and all that stuff. But Cannonier was able to get back and just, dominate him and get a KO. And apart from that, knocked out Brad Tavares, which I thought was pretty good. Pretty good win, honestly, knocking out Brad Tavares. And also a win over Junyoung Park, which is also a good aging win. He's a powerful guy. He's a really tall guy. He's 6'3". He's a 6'3" guy, and he's pretty big. He is huge for middleweight. Like, you would think this guy's a light heavyweight, but no, he's just middleweight. He's cutting to 185 somehow. But the problem is, I think Jack Hermanson is just the better technical fighter in this case. I think Gregory Rodriguez does rely on his power, and he does definitely do better in the first round or so. His cardio kind of is in question. And especially against a guy like Jack Hermanson, who has that cardio, who has that striking. He literally dominated. I mean, I want to say dominated, but he literally outboxed Joe Pyfer, who, and Hermanson's a grappler. That's the one thing I like about this fight. He's a grappler, and he was outboxing Joe Pyfer. So I think his striking is pretty underrated. His boxing's pretty good, and I mean, his only recent losses, he got KO'd by Roman Dolidze, but that was a thing, right? And then split decision with Sean Strickland. I think Jack Hermanson's a better technical fighter. I think he's the crispier striker in this case. Like, Gregory Rodriguez does have some good striking, and he has good power, and I think that would give Jack Hermanson some problems. But I think Hermanson got this. I honestly think this is gonna be a good Hermanson win. He was in the rankings last year. I know he got kicked off because of inactivity, but I'd really love to see Jack Hermanson fight again, because especially after his performance against Pyfer, and it showed that not only is he a good grappler, he's a good striker as well. Because Joe Pyfer is a pretty good striker. He has good power himself too, and Jack Hermanson was able to come back and outstrike Pyfer for 3 rounds. So I'm going to go with Hermanson. I think Gregory Rodriguez will have a good first round. I think he might, he'll definitely give Hermanson some problems. I think as the fight goes on, I think I'll see Hermanson kind of get back, and maybe it will be a Hermanson decision, maybe 29-28. I'm going to go with that. So, 29-28 Hermanson. That's my prediction. Next, we are on the main card with the opening fight, Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Hear me out, guys. I think this is not a bad matchup for Peyton Talbot. I don't think Felipe Lima is that dangerous. I'm going to be honest with you. I was overrating the hell. I think I was overrating the hell out of the performance he had against Miles Johns. He did good. But Miles Johns was able... Felipe Lima isn't like this dangerous, powerful striker. He's not this dangerous, powerful grappler either. He didn't go resort to that much grappling in the Miles Johns fight. And although he has some good submissions and good grappling, it's like, I don't think Peyton Talbot has no takedown defense. I just think that maybe Raoni Barcelos is a really good grappler. Let's leave it there. I don't think Peyton Talbot got fraud checked. I just think that Raoni Barcelos is really good, especially after his Cody Garbrandt performance, which honestly, I thought Cody Garbrandt would win that, but the fact that Raoni Barcelos not only won, but, outworked Cody in that fight and, got him on the ground and shit, it's like, I think Raoni is pretty underrated, and let's be for real, like, his loss to Umar Nurmagomedov isn't that bad. Because Umar Nurmagomedov is probably one of the best bantamweights currently right now. So, of course, Peyton Talbot Peyton Talbot was already having a tough fight with Raoni Barcelos. I think the odds made it seem like, he got fraud checked. But obviously the odds are wrong because, I get it. The odds makers made it seem like Peyton Talbot was getting an easy fight with Raoni Barcelos. I didn't think it was going to be that easy. I didn't. I thought Talbot would win. I just didn't think it would be an easy fight. I thought it would be like a tough fight for Talbot where you would have to fight someone with more experience, a veteran, right? But now he's going against someone like Felipe Lima. He's another prospect. I think people were now starting to think that Peyton Talbot's washed. Oh, he's not good anymore. I truly don't think so. I think Peyton Talbot has the better striking. And I don't think Lima's grappling is gonna threaten Talbot that much. I don't know, because it's hard to choose these fights just because, like, if I choose Felipe Lima, what if Talbot comes back and gets a really stellar performance against Lima, right? And it would make sense to choose Lima because he is on a better trajectory. He is undefeated in the UFC. I mean, it just makes zero sense why I would choose Peyton Talbot, but I don't know. I think he has good grappling. He never uses it that much. In the Miles Johns fight, he didn't really go into his grappling that much. And I think in this fight, I think it's going to be a striking fight. I don't think this is going to be where Felipe Lima just takes him down easily and Talbot can't do anything and he gets an easy submission like a lot of people are saying. I don't think it's like that. And then you got to realize, like, Talbot's the longer, rangier guy. He has the reach advantage. He has the height advantage. I mean, does that make him easier to take down? Yes, but is Peyton Talbot's takedown defense that bad? I don't think so. I just think, I'm not saying he's gonna have an off night. I just think Raoni Barcelos is a really good grappler. Apart from that, very impressive win against Cameron Simon. Very impressive win against Nick Aguirre. Impressive win against Reyes Cortez. I think his Simon win is really good, and there was definitely some moments from Simon, but Simon is pretty good too, and he was able to knock him out in the second round. And then really good knockout against Gamori, and then he lost to Raoni Barcelos, but I think it wasn't that bad of a performance for Peyton Talbot. I just think he needed to work on his takedown defense because he needed to work on it. But Raoni is just a good grappler. I think people thought that Raoni was just an easy layup for opponent. So when Raoni won, people were like, "Oh shit, Peyton sucks." He sucks. He's ass. But, like, Rowney's a good fighter. He's not a bad, like, 30. He's 37, yes. He's old. But he's not a bad fighter. He's a good fighter. And with the win streaks going on, with the win over Cody Garbrandt, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ronnie Barcelos maybe get into the rankings. Maybe fight into the rankings. But, I don't know. It's tough to choose because I really do like Felipe Lima. It's hard. I think this is a 50-50 fight. I really am curious to see what Talbot does in this fight. Like, what adjustments is he going to make? Is he going to show better takedown defense? I honestly think Talbot was just overconfident in that fight. He thought it was an easy fight, and then he got surprised. He got outworked. Brownie showed him that, having the flashy knockouts isn't enough. And with Felipe Lima, he's a dangerous guy. I think Felipe Lima is more dangerous than Rowdy Barcelos. He is. Very good, impressive performance, and it's clear like Felipe's on some momentum right now. It's hard to choose. I really am struggling to choose with this fight. I think I might have to go. I was gonna go with Talbot, but honestly, with the MMA math, with all these things, I think Felipe Lima has the best tools to beat someone like Talbot. I think Lima's a good striker for sure. He has some good power in his hands, and he put a good striking performance against Miles Johns, and submitting Naimov like that. I mean, Naimov's on a roll of his own right now, so man, it's tough to choose. It's really tough to choose, but I'm gonna have to go with Felipe Lima, and I honestly think it might be a submission. Talbot's submission defense didn't look so good in the Barcelos fight. It didn't. He was almost getting submitted by Barcelos. And I mean, Barcelos is a good grappler, but it was insanely close. And it was multiple times he almost got submitted. And it was just it wasn't like, oh, he was getting taken down and, held there. It was like Payton Talbot was just getting thrown around and he was getting controlled easily. It was like he didn't know what to do on the ground. And that's why I had to choose Lima, because I felt like if Lima does take this fight to the ground, that's his territory, and Talbot won't have much of an answer to Lima's grappling. Lima's pretty well-rounded, really good grappling, really good striking as well. I mean, I think this is a dangerous fight for Talbot, and I hate to say it, but I just think that Talbot might need more time. I think he needs this loss if he wants to learn to be better, because I think Talbot has the potential to be a star, but I think Lima is just on a roll right now. So I'm going to go with Felipe Lima. I'm going to go with submission. I think Felipe Lima is probably going to do well on the feet against Talbot. Maybe Talbot's going to get some good hits there. Maybe Lima's going to have to close the distance. And then I think I could see Lima taking down Talbot. I could see that. Just with the takedown defense. I'm going to go with Lima by submission. I know I made a full 180 there with the... Oh, maybe Talbot's good, but I don't know. I just can't choose Talbot. I can't choose Talbot against a guy like Lima. If it gave him pretty much anybody else, if it gave him like a Jourdain or something like that, or like anybody else apart from Felipe Lima, I probably would have chose Talbot just because I think Talbot's pretty good. But I think Felipe Lima's better. That's just the truth. So, we'll stay with that. Next, we got flyweight title eliminator action here, man. Royval versus Van. Originally, this was supposed to be Royval versus Kopp. Their fight was supposed to happen in March. Royval pulled out. Kopp had to fight Asu. Then Kopp finally got that shit rebooked with Royval for UFC 317. But then Kopp pulled out with an injury. And now Joshua Van, coming off a very impressive win against Bruno Silva in UFC 316, is now fighting Royval for a title eliminator. It's fucking insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is insane. Just how much of a rise Joshua Van has been going through, because I think like literally before this year he was unranked. Now he's fighting for a title eliminator against the number one contender, the guy who honestly pretty much only lost to Pantoja. He's beat Moreno, he's beat Tyra, he's beat a lot of other people, and I think Royval's pretty good. But here's the problem with legacy, with resume, with MMA math. Here's the problem. Royval beats Moreno, right? Royval went to split decision with Moreno. He did lose to him, but that was because of an injury. That we don't count that as a match. I feel like the second fight with them is more of a legit fight than the first one, because first fight it was pretty well 50-50 between each of them, and then Royval gets injured. I think from the 50-50 precision or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, Royval's very well rounded. He's a scrappy guy, and man, he's so fun to watch because he's so He's so like he wins. He just wins, right? And he's been on an impressive run, defeating a guy like Moreno, defeating a dangerous contender like Tyra, who was undefeated in the UFC. And, he had a really good scraps of him. The problem is, Joshua Van isn't a Tyra, and Joshua Van isn't a Moreno. I think the style makes fights here. Applies very well. Just because I think Joshua Van's boxing is probably the best right now in the flyweight division. You can even argue Joshua Van's a top 3 boxer. You could argue that. At this point, you could. I mean, obviously, there's Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier. There's, you can even put in Sergey Pavlovich in there. You can put a lot of other fighters in there. I think Joshua Van has proven he has really good boxing. The performance he had against Bruno Silva beat down. He was countering Bruno Silva hard. Bruno Silva's a fast, fluid striker. He's not a bad striker himself. He's a fluid striker. He's fast. And Joshua Van was kind of reading him and just easily countering back, hitting with them hard shots. And against a guy like Royval, who does have that brawler type of style, he has good boxing. He's really well-rounded, but so is Joshua Van. Joshua Van has good defensive grappling. I don't think Bruno Silva took him down in that fight. I think Ray Saruya was a very bad matchup for Joshua Van just because he's a big wrestler, and he was undefeated in the UFC as well. And he shot 21 takedowns on Joshua Van, and Joshua Van defended 17 of them. And all the 4 takedowns he got on Van, he got up pretty much instantaneously. I think people need to stop doubting Van's grappling in this case, because he's proven he can fight the best. I want to say the best grapplers. I mean, there's probably better grapplers than Topuria. Maybe a Tyra. Tyra's probably one of the best grapplers, and maybe Pantoja is obviously one of the best grappler in the division right now. But Joshua Van showed that he's massively improving, and yes, this is a quick turnaround. He's only fought 3 weeks ago, but I don't think this is a. I think this is a 50. I don't want to think this is a 50-50 fight. I think Joshua Van could win this. This is a winnable fight for Van, just because I think Van has the boxing and the counter striking to kind of counteract Royval striking. I think Joshua Van's a bad matchup. Not the worst matchup. I don't think he's a shitty matchup and that Royval's screwed. I think Royval's going to have some success. But I really can't. I think Van is something special. I think Van got this title eliminator for a fucking reason. He got it because he's shown he's super good. I think he would have got this title eliminator in anyways, like maybe a year later. Or maybe not even a year later. Maybe later this year. He probably would have got a title eliminator against Moreno or somebody. But now he's getting it against Royval. And that's a short notice. And yes, it's like that. But honestly, I was picking Cobb to beat Royval. And the reason why I picked Cobb is because his counter strike is really good. I think Royval, when he does blitz in, when he does enter in and unlock those combos, he does leave himself to get countered. And I think that does leave someone like Joshua Van to be able to pick up on that. I think Royval's going to have a good first round, but I think Van is going to pick up the pace as the fight goes on. And I think Royval is going to have trouble with Van. I don't think this is an easy fight for Royval. Tyra wasn't an easy fight. And it's surprising to say, like, in hindsight, I'm surprised Tyra wasn't an easy fight for Royval. Tyra, yes, like, Tyra's striking is honestly pretty non-existent, and even then it was barely a 3-2 Royval. I wouldn't say barely, but it was a 3-2 Royval. And he went to split decision with Moreno, pretty close fight, and Moreno's a boxer himself with good counter-strike, with good counter-boxing. And now Joshua Van here, he's the faster, younger striker. And let's be real, I know Moreno is like one of the best flyweights currently in the division right now, but I think Van has faster, crispier boxing than Moreno, just because I think I don't know. Moreno doesn't load as much volume as Joshua Van, and I think the volume is going to make a difference in this fight. I just think I don't want to bet against Royval because I picked Royval. I picked Royval to win against Tyra when everyone was thinking Tyra would submit him. I picked Royval and Royval won, and I picked Royval to beat Moreno too. The only fight I didn't pick Royval to win in was the Pantoja fight. But now I'm in a tricky situation because this isn't a Tyra. This isn't a Moreno. This is Van. And Van, he's young. He's getting up there, and he's shown he's like, honestly, his last few performances haven't been wins. They have been dominations. They haven't been close at all. He beat the shit out of Cody Durden. He beat the shit out of Bruno Silva. He beat the shit out of Chirez in UFC 306 with the body work. And he had a very good performance against Ray Saruria, which you honestly could say was honestly a domination. Like, Ray Saruria was just getting pieced up on the feet, and he couldn't land most of the takedowns. Even when he did land the takedowns, he just got back up. I don't think that Royval has that grappling. I don't think Royval has the wrestling like Saruria does to really threaten the grappling. And you even saw in the Durden fight. Like, Durden's a good grappler himself, but even then he was like not successful against Van. I think in the first round he was more successful, but as the fight went on, Van was just piecing him up. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. I think Royval is going to have a good first round. You could even say he might win the first round. But I think Joshua Van is kind of like the flyweight Max Holloway in this case. I think he's going to go and unload a lot of volume on Royval. I think he's going to counter him easily. I think he's going to counter him effectively, and think he might wobble Royval in certain moments because his power is pretty good. Joshua Van does hit hard when he does. Like, Bruno Silva's a tough guy to knock out. I know he got knocked out twice now, but he has a chin. Like, they're all TKOs. Like, he has a chin, and even then, Joshua Van was dropping him multiple times. Not even Cop did that. Not even Cop dropped him. I mean, Cop dropped him at the end with the TKO, but even then, Cop is a very fluid striker, very good striker, and even then, Joshua Van just dropped Bruno Silva. And honestly, I think Royval has like that kind of scrappy brawler type of striking. You know, he does get in with the blitzes, and he does leave himself to be countered. You know, we saw that with the Moreno fight, and I just think Joshua Van has the boxing, and he has the understanding too, the striking understanding. He knows when to counter. He knows what to hit. He has really good body work, really good boxing. He knows how to change where to strike. He knows how to change from the head to the body. His boxing is crisp. And I think after this fight, if he wins against Royval, I think we need to start considering Joshua Van as one of the best boxers in the UFC. That is just no debate. No debate, we have to. So, but I don't know, it's tough because Royval's a lot taller than Van. I think Royval is the better grappler than Van. And it's tough to say, man. Like, fuck. Because Joshua Van only had one loss, and it was to Charles Johnson. And Charles Johnson's a tricky striker too. Like, it's not like, oh, Charles Johnson sucks. Like, no, he's a tricky striker. But Joshua Van has been racking up some really solid wins. Borjas, solid win. Bunez, solid win. Chárez, solid win. Durden, Saruria, and Bruno Silva, all solid wins. Especially the knockout against Bruno Silva. No, that's his highest ranked win, but fuck, bro. He beat the shit out of Bruno Silva. I think he knocked him down like three times, bro. And I mean, his grappling defense is up there. I think people were sleeping on Van. And I get why, because he's going against number 1 after just being number 12. You know, he was literally barely ranked like a few months ago, and now he's going for a title eliminator. It's a bit much, but I don't know, man. But it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight to pick because I fuck with Royval, bro. I fuck with Royval. He's one of my favorite fighters right now. And he's only lost to Brandon Moreno and Pantoja. That's really it. 2 former champions. He's only lost to those guys. Great win against Tim Elliott, Kai France, Matt Schnell, Nicolau. And then he won against Moreno. And then he won against Tyra. I mean, the resume speaks for itself. Like, Royval has beaten some really tough guys, but Styles makes fight, man. Styles makes fights. And I don't see Royval knocking out Van. I don't see him actually really doing much to Van in terms of the power. I mean, I don't know. Royval's a tricky striker. He's a really good striker. And he's really well-rounded. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know. I really don't know. I might have to switch to Royval, maybe. But, fuck. Let me think. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be ballsy. I'm going to go with Joshua Van. I'm going to go with Joshua Van. If he wins, come back to this video. But Joshua Van is my pick. I'm going to go with Joshua Van by decision. I don't think he's going to knock him out or submit him. So, Joshua Van by decision. I think Royval is going to win the first round. And then I think Van is going to pick up the pace in the second and third round and be able to steal this fight. So, Joshua Van by decision. Next, we got the feature bout. Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. I mean, I remember this fight was made for UFC 311, and then obviously Moicano got the title shot against Islam when Orman pulled out. He got submitted, but to be honest with you, it's Islam. That's not a bad loss at all. But people forget, man, Beneil Dariush is a marauder. It's tough because I respect Dariush a lot, and I think he's a pretty good fighter too. He was on a massive win streak before the Charles Oliveira fight, and a lot of people were saying he was going to beat Oliveira, but getting knocked out by Oliveira and then getting slept by Arman in the later in the year, and then not fighting for almost 2 years, it's alarming. It really is. Moicano, apart from his loss to Islam, has been on a massive tear. He was on a 6-fight win streak, and he knocked out some really quality opponents. You know, good win against Drew Dober, good win against Jalen Turner, and Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis was a lot of hype, and he demolished BSD pretty easily. I know BSD his best win? I think it is. It's hard to say, but what was Dariush's best win? It was a short notice Gamrot, and even then that fight was pretty competitive. And apart from that, he lost to Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan, who were pretty much the only good fights he had. The only good opponents. And he's getting older now. I know he's the same age as Renato, but he hasn't fought in over almost 2 years. And I don't know if this is going to be the same Dariush. He's been chinned 2 times now, and it's tough to say, you know, because, okay, Beneil Dariush, before the Charles Oliveira fight, his best win was Mateusz Gamrot, and that was on short notice. Before that, Tony Ferguson, I think he had a Jakar Close, Drew Dober, Moises. Who does that, Thiago Moises? Who does that to Thiago Moises? Like, okay, bro. But apart from that, it's like it's very it's very 50-50. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Renato Moicano. I think Renato is the better striker in this case. I think he's faster. I think his IQ is pretty good. Like the way he was able to deconstruct BST and just like dominate him in that first round, it was very impressive. Especially he put up harder beating on BST than Dustin Poirier did. And one thing I like about Renato, he's so well-rounded. He has good striking, but he also has good grappling. And at the age of 36, and where he is right now, I think he's doing pretty good. I think this is a pretty good fight for Renato. I think this is where we could see Renato kind of say, like, hey, I got this good win over a seasoned guy like in lightweight. And I think Renato's going to be faster. I think he's just going to be much more fluid. I think he's going to be the better striker in this case. I don't see Beneil Dariush really showing a upgraded performance. I don't think he's going to come back and look even stronger, you know? Because when you're taking these long layoffs and stuff, I'm not saying that all the time, but you look at Beneil Dariush, it's not like this guy's been just training and grinding hard. He probably was. He probably was prepping for a return a long time ago. But I was going to pick Renato to win in UFC 311, and now it's UFC 317. I'm going to pick Renato again. I think Renato, will he knock out Beneil Dariush? Honestly, I think that could be a possibility. He could. But I think Renato's probably going to, Honestly, I think a TKO. I'm gonna go with TKO. I think Hinato's gonna get a TKO probably. Let's say like, I think a round 3 TKO for Renato Moicano. I think first round is gonna be pretty competitive. I think Renato's gonna take over though, and he could show. Like I don't think Benil has some good striking too, but honestly, I think Benil's best tool is his wrestling, and even then, I think Renato's wrestling isn't that bad. Like yeah, he got taken down by Islam, but who hasn't? Who hasn't gotten taken down by Islam? So yeah, I think this is a pretty good fight. I'm gonna go with Hanato. I think he's just a greener guy. He's the faster guy, much more prepared. He's on a momentum right now still. So, yeah. Next, you got the title fight. The first one. We got Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Now, Pantoja has been on a run. And when I mean a run, I mean a run. I think ever since he got the title, he beat Royval. And when he beat Royval, honestly, I thought he cleared the division at this point. And he got a good win against Usyk. I did not think it was a robbery. Like you could argue that it was probably more 4-1 Pantoja than it is 3-2 Usyk. But you look at Pantoja's like losses. Is to Askar Askarov and Davison Figueiredo, who were pretty good. Like, Figueiredo is the hardest hitting featherweight, honestly, of all time. I'm going to say that. He's the hardest hitting featherweight of all time. He hits even harder than Kai Kara-France. And even then, he could not finish Pantoja. Pantoja's a tough motherfucker, bro. And, I mean, when he got hit with that knee from Kaya Sakura, bro, I'm like, damn. Like, what is this guy's chin made out of? Like, he's never been finished before. All of his losses have been by decision. He's never been finished before. And since he lost to Askar, bro, like, he has an impressive, good win against Manel Kopp. Good win against Royval. He submitted Royval. He submitted Alex Perez. He beat Moreno, beat Royval, beat Usyk, and then beat Kai Sakura. He's been on a generational run right now. And I think with a win over Kai Kara-France, he could very well be in talks of a flyweight GOAT. I think he can be in the talks because he's beat some quality competition. But I'm going to pick Kai Kara-France. I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you. No, I'm picking Pantoja. I think when you look back on their tough fight, 2 rounds, yes, is not enough to determine a winner. I know Kai Kara-France is talking about, it's only been 2 rounds, and now this is 5 rounds. I think the 5-rounder honestly suits Pantoja more. I'm going to say that. Kai Kara-France's takedown defense is really good. His striking is pretty good. But I think Pantoja's striking is severely underrated. I think the reason why Moreno struggled so much with Kai Kara-France is because Kai Kara-France was putting the volume on Moreno, backing him up, pressuring him. But I don't think Kai Kara-France is going to be the one going forward in this fight. It's going to be Pantoja most likely. Pantoja's forward pressure, really good blitzes. He's really fast with his hands, and he can crack. He can definitely hit hard too. And against Kai Kara-France, he hadn't fought in a year. And you got to realize this guy's last win was Steve Usyk. Since then, Pantoja hasn't shown he's gotten slower. He's gotten worse. I think Pantoja's shown he's gotten better. I think the submission win against Kaya Sakura, was I expecting it to be an easy performance? Yes. But I think a submission in round 2 showed that his grappling is only getting better and better. It's not like Kaya Sakura is a slouch either. He has some good grappling defense too, and Pantoja made it look easy in that octagon. He was super locked in, he's super determined, and Pantoja's age is coming into question here. It's like, Pantoja's 35. I honestly think it's not like that. I mean, DJ was like pretty old too in the later half of his run, but even then he was doing really good. I think Pantoja is gonna get a win in this fight. I do see Kai Kara-France maybe winning the first round or 2, just based on damage. I think Kai Kara-France might be able to win that. But I don't think Pantoja is going to get knocked out by Kai Kara-France. I mean, yes, he slept Usyk, but let's be for real, his accuracy isn't all the same. And Steve Usyk was piecing up Kai Kara-France at the beginning. He just got caught. I don't think Pantoja is going to make that same mistake. I think Pantoja's striking's got it more crispy. I think he's His striking's gotten so much better compared to his, like, for example, his Moreno fights. Like, that's why I don't want to see a Moreno or Royval rematches anytime soon, because like he will just beat them again. So, I mean, I would love to see if Mokaev was still in the UFC. I think we would have seen him fight Mokaev, and I think Mokaev could have been the one to beat Pantoja because of the wrestling. But no, I think Pantoja is the better, well-rounded fighter. I think he's the faster striker. I think he's going to be the one putting the pressure, and I think the grappling of Pantoja is severely underrated. I think it's going to give Kai Kara-France a lot of problems. I don't see Kai Kara-France really, knocking out Pantoja. So I think this is going to be a pretty good Pantoja win. And it'll be nice to get that back. I know we fought before and Pantoja won but it was still pretty competitive. And 2 rounds is 2 rounds. But now this is 5 rounds. So I'd love to see what changes. I'd love to see, is Kai Kara-France really going to be the one to make this shit 1-1, And is Pantoja going to show the improvements he's made and, beat Kai Kara-France harder than he did last time? I think I'm going to go with the latter. I'm going to go with the Pantoja improved. Pantoja has improved a ton since that Kai Kara-France fight years ago. And I think that Pantoja is going to show why he is the champion. I think he has the better grappling. I think his striking is severely underrated. And I think he's going to be able to put the pace on Kai Kara-France for 5 rounds. So, yeah. I think Kai Kara-France, he's probably going to put up a good fight, honestly. I think he's going to put up a good fight. And I think this is going to be pretty entertaining, honestly. But I think Pantoja is going to win, probably by decision. I don't see Pantoja submitting Kai Kara-France, honestly. So, I'm going to go Pantoja by decision. So, if you want to put that parlay in, put it. Next, we got the main event. What people have been waiting for some time. Ilia Topuria, former featherweight champion, versus Charles Oliveira, former lightweight champion, to fight for the lightweight belt. Islam, he was the champion, but he vacated his belt. He's now going up to fight JDM. I would have loved to see Islam versus Ilia, but we're probably never going to see that fight for a while. So Ilia versus Charles is the next one, and this is very good. This is a good fight. I think this is a good test for Ilia Topuria. Can he hang with someone like as good as Charles Oliveira? Because let's be real, Charles Oliveira is the best guy Ilia Topuria will be facing. Charles Oliveira, dominant champ when he was in 155, had a huge win streak, beat some quality opponents. I mean, he's had over almost 40 fights in the UFC at this point, and it's just plainly obvious that I think Charles Oliveira is a tough matchup for Ilia. Charles Oliveira, very good striker, very good grappler. I don't see Topuria really. I think Topuria. How do I say this? I think Charles Oliveira is a very tough matchup for Ilia Topuria. But we have seen Ilia fight tough matchups. Holloway, Bryce Mitchell. Holloway, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, even people consider Ryan Hall to be a tough matchup. He's fought these tough guys, especially like Bryce Mitchell, very good grappler and honestly an underrated striker too. And then Max Holloway, one of the best strikers of all time, and taller than Ilia. I picked Max Holloway to win. I did not think Ilia would knock him out. I was shocked when he knocked him out. Just because I thought Ilia would I thought Max would just, he would take some hard shots in the first couple of rounds, and I think he would just take it back in the later 3 rounds and maybe piece up Ilia. But no, Ilia showed, even in the 3rd round too, it's not like Max was just winning. Max was winning, but he was not winning. It wasn't clear that Ilia landed a lucky shot. It was always kind of clear that Max was winning, but Ilia was setting up something big, and then he set it up, and then he got it. Ilia has been only getting better and better each fight. People will obviously look at the Bryce Mitchell and the Zalal fights and say, oh yeah, this guy will get in fraud check someday. A lot of Islam fans saying, oh, he got taken down by Bryce Mitchell. Well, that's why he'll never beat Islam. But, come on, bro. He submitted Bryce Mitchell literally a round after. And oh yeah, and a lot of people are talking about the Jai Herbert fight too, getting dropped by the head kick. But we have seen Volkanovski and Holloway use those same exact fucking lead kicks, and they're way better than Jai Herbert. And Ilia Topuria just defended them fine. I don't think the head kick is going to be the what ends this fight, and I don't think Charles Oliveira is going to knock him out with a head kick. Be real, guys. But I think Charles Oliveira's best tools in this fight are going to be his elbows and knees. And I think it's going to be the clinch work that's going to determine how Oliveira proceeds with this fight. But I think Ilya is a dangerous fight for Oliveira just because Ilya never gives up. Ilya has heart. Even when he gets pieced up, even when he loses the rounds, and maybe when he gets hit a lot, or he doesn't have a good performance, or he gets taken down, he will always find that kill shot. He will always find that one hit that ends the fight. Against Volk was winning the first round, but then you can tell Ilya was just waiting. He was just there. He was kind of just trying to set something up. He was kind of like, he knew he was going to lose a round or something. And then Max Holloway, it was clear, Max Holloway Ilia Topuria fight was a lot closer than what people made it seem to believe. It wasn't a domination from Ilya or Max, honestly. Max was winning, but it's not like Ilya was just losing so bad and getting pieced the hell up. Ilya was landing some good shots, and even when Max was landing some good combos and hitting with jab and cross and with the kicks and all that stuff, even when Ilya was getting deterred, he still kept moving forward. He still kept putting pressure. And then when he took the opportunity, he got that overhand and landed on Max. And then he just swarmed him. And it showed in this moment that Ilya, even when you give him a tough opponent, when he faces opposition, he's not gonna give up. He has heart. That's what makes him dangerous. That he never gives up. That he is gonna just find that shot no matter what. And at 155, where he's less drained, where he's going to be stronger, more powerful, faster, he's going to be less exhausted, he's going to have a better chin, and he's going to have all these other advantages in 155 compared to 145. It begs to wonder, how is Ilia Topuria going to act in 155? I have high hopes. I think Ilya will do really well in 155. But Charles is a tough opponent. He's always been a tough match. I think the odds are disrespecting him heavily here. I don't see why Charles Oliveira is such a huge underdog, considering the fact that I think this fight is going to be close. I don't want to say close, but I think it's going to be hella competitive. I think this could be a decision. I don't know. Hot take, it could be a decision. But for who I'm going to pick, I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. I think the problem with a lot of people thinking that this is going to be an easy fight for Ilya, I don't think Ilya even thinks this is an easy fight. Yes, he'll say, "Oh, I'll finish him in round 1. I'll do this. I'll knock him out in the first round." That's just confidence. That's just talk. Because even Ilya knows the challenge he has against Charles Oliveira. Charles is a very tough guy to finish, you know? I think, in the 12-fight win streak, Islam finished him, and let's be real, Islam's a really good finisher. But you look at Dustin, you look at the Gaethje fight, you look at the Chandler fight, they all were close to knocking out Charles Oliveira. Justin dropped him a couple times. Dustin Poirier dropped him a couple times. Chandler, hit him some good shots. And Charles Oliveira doesn't give up. He just keeps fighting. And then when he gets dropped and he gets back up, he just locks in and just suddenly starts doing so much better. But I think with a guy like Ilya, I don't know. It's a tough fight because I really want to pick Charles, but I think this might be the fight I think this could be where Charles Oliveira loses. I mean, Ilya is just so well-rounded and so dangerous in both categories of grappling and striking. It's hard for me to choose Charles Oliveira. Because yes, Charles Oliveira is going to give him a tough fight. Yes, Ilya is going to drop him. And yes, Charles is going to get back up. But question is, Ilya hits so hard at 145, he's going to hit even harder at 155. And when he knocked out Max Holloway, that's when I knew this guy's power was different. And obviously, maybe he doesn't hit the hardest, but his position makes up for the lack in power that he has compared to Chandler and Gaethje. I think Ilya, unlike Dustin and Gaethje and Chandler, is going to be a lot smarter in his approach. I think he's not going to try to. I think he's going to definitely be the guy to go enter Charles Oliveira's guard. I think he's going to be trying to chase a finish. He's going to be putting pressure on Oliveira. You know, Oliveira is a very brawler type of guy. He comes in to meets in the middle. He fights like hell. And I think that's going to be where Ilya finds that shot. And I want to. Does he knock out Charles? I think he knocks out Charles. I could see that happening. And sucks to say, I think Ilya is just the next coming. I think he definitely will become a two-weight champion. And I want Charles to win. Don't get me twisted. I want Charles to win. But Ilya is just different. And he's strong, he's powerful, really good boxing, really good striking, really good wrestling and grappling. I would have picked Ilya to beat Islam. And it would be silly for me to pick Charles to beat Ilya. I think Ilya's going to win this. He's super determined, and he's got heart. Even with a tough matchup like Charles, I think Charles is going to give him a tough fight. But I don't think that's going to stop Ilya. I don't think Charles has the tools to knock out a guy like Ilya easily. So, unless Charles gets him in a submission like that and just submits him, that'd be fucking insane if that happened. And I'd be happy if Charles Oliveira wins this, but I'm picking Ilya. Because I think Ilya is more likely to win this. I think the odds aren't lying. I think Ilya is truly that good. So, but this will be the toughest fight that Ilya has faced. This will be the toughest opponent, the best opponent Ilya has faced. I mean, Charles Oliveira is a lot better. I wouldn't say Max Holloway is worse than Charles Oliveira. They're both champs with defenses, but I think Charles Oliveira is a tougher opponent just because it is in the 155 division. Charles Oliveira is a lot bigger than Ilya, has a bigger reach advantage. You know, unlike Max, who didn't have a bigger reach advantage than Ilya, Charles Oliveira does. And Charles Oliveira does really well with the kicks. I think Ilya's going to lose probably the first two rounds. First round or 2 rounds. And I could see Ilya bouncing back in like maybe the later middle of the fight and then drop Charles Oliveira and maybe get a submission. So I'm going with Ilya Topuria. Honestly, I'm gonna go with knockout. Ilya Topuria by knockout. Round 3 or round 4. Okay? Sucks to say it, but heart says Charles, brain says Ilya. That's how it is, man. But that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this full cards pick, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and make sure to follow my Instagram. I left my socials in the description, and I mean, the voice crack. But I post a lot more on Instagram than I do on YouTube. But I'm going to try to pick up the YouTube uploads more and more. But for now, that will be all. Can't wait to watch this card. I'm buying the pay-per-view for sure. But yeah, this is going to be a really good card. Can't wait to see it. And I'll see y'all in the next one. See ya. Peace.